Tankers, and welcome back to another of my videos. Today we are going to be comparing the Chieftain Mk6 Tier 10 Premium Heavy Tank to the FV2-5B and the T10E5. So, starting off, you can see it has a very good damage per minute of 3,166, which is beating some of the mediums in the Tier 10 class. The FV2-5B has the most with a 3,275, and the T10 has the least by about 300 with 2,849. The penetration is also very good on the Mk6 at 260, just beating the FV2-5B by 1 and the T10E5 by 2. The alpha damage is 400, and they are the same across all three of these tanks, but the rate of fire on the 2 and 5B is a little bit faster since it has a more damage per minute. Because of that, it makes the reload a 7.58 second reload, which is very good. The caliber is actually 119, and when you load APCR rounds, it actually does 360 alpha damage, other than the FV2-5B's 340 and the T10E5's 340. So I'm not sure if Wargaming messed it up or they actually wanted the Mk6 to do better with premium rounds. The shell velocity is amazing at this tank at 1,372, beating the FV2-5B by 400 and the T10E5 by the same amount. The aiming time is also very good on this tank at 1.72 compared to the FV2-5B's great 1.54, but the T10E5 falls behind with a 1.81. The dispersion is also very good at 0.308, but the FV2-5B goes ahead again at 0.299, and the T10E5 is falling back again at 0.317. The depression on the Mk6 is 10 degrees, beating the FV2-5B by 3 and the T10E5 by 2. And that 10 degrees gun depression, it almost makes up for all the other little things that are a little worse. The tank goes 42 forwards and 15 backwards, which also demolishes the competition, as the FV2-5B only goes 34 forwards and 37 backwards. So that's a big difference, and it has the least amount of engine power though, so its power to weight ratio isn't the best, as you can see, but it is 15.1 compared to the FV2-5B's 15 and the T10E5's 18.07, which is very good. Because of that, the effective horsepower per ton is a little bit worse than the FV2-5B and the T10E5, but the E5 has bad terrain resistance. The traverse speed across all these tanks are fairly decent. The Mk6 goes 30, the FV2-5B goes 33, and the E5 goes 25, which is the slowest. The credit earnings for this tank are not posted yet, but from my experience it earns around 60,000 credits a game, which is pretty good. The view range on the Mk6 is 264, which is the same as the E5, but the FV2-5B does go ahead a little bit. The hit points are also a little bit less than the FV2-5B by 50, but the E5 has 50 less also, but the E5 has better armor. The weight on the Mk6 is actually pretty heavy, at 54.6 tons, compared to the FV2-5B's 69 tons, so it is a bit better at ramming. But since it's slower, it's also harder to do crazy damage, and the E5 weighs about the same as the Chieftain at 53.3. The hull armor is 127 on the front, 51 on the sides, and 25 on the rear, so do not let tanks get your rear. The FV2-5B has 152 in the front, 102 on the sides, and 76 on the rear, and the E5 has 254 on the front, 76 on the sides, and 38 in the rear, also achievable. The turret armor, as you can see on the Chieftain, just murders all the competition at 350 on the front, compared to the FV2-5B's 254, but I will say that turret is very troll, and the T10E5's 203. The average win rate for the Mk6 over 90 days, and 1,568 players played it. It has an average win rate of 54%, and 2,109 damage. The FV2-5B has a 55%, which is a bit higher, and 2,175, so the average damage is about the same. And the E5 falls below at a 53% win rate and 2,038 average damage. Enough with this though, let's go check out the armor profile. So if we go get up the Chieftain Mk6, you will see that it actually has great gun depression, some of the best in the game. And since it's such a small tank, you're able to use this gun depression and nobody can see what you're looking at. As you can see, this turret right here is ranging from 400 to 500 millimeters thick. When looking dead on, even when looking dead on from a 113 aiming at you, you can see that it has a very low chance of going through. Now you do have a big cupola on the top, and it is only 85, so that will be hit. But when you're using your 10 degrees of gun depression, it just hides that cupola immediately. It's still able to be hit, but you can snap shells them with your great accuracy. The lower plate is a weak spot at only being about 109 thick. While trying to get a good replay for this video, I probably got heshed about 3 times in the lower plate out of 100 games. The sides of this tank are not the greatest, at being about 126 and the back being about 54. It does have spaced armor though, so keep that in mind. You cannot really be heshed on the sides easily. The side of the turret is decent. It gets weak on the rear though. As you can see, it's only 30 thick on the rear, so you actually can HE it if its turret's facing somewhere opposite to you. The rear of this tank is where it really falls behind though, at only being 25 thick. So pretty much any tank that gets behind you will be able to pin you with HE. But enough with the armor, let's go on to the replays. Now you can see the first replay we have is on Naval Frontier, and we are against some mean tanks. As you can see, we are against a 121B, a E100, a 183. All these tanks you really don't want to mess with. Chieftain Mk6 doesn't really have what you'd call armor. Its lower plate is probably one of the weakest in the game, and it's big. So, and the side track wheels are really bad, so you have to know where you're pulling out or you'll be killed immediately. You'll see I do take a beating this game. I pull out on some tanks and it doesn't go well. That shot there is just the replay lagging. It is not actually my game. But you can see I do slam a shell into that E100 as he's driving across. I realize that they are all pushing heavy. I've got gun depression, and there are some gun depression spots over at the heavy side, so I will start to push there. I do expect to be shot in the side, though. As you can see, I'm looking at that bush, but manages to hit me, lights me on fire, tap that 4 key, and I fix it. I do see that I only have one tank really holding off all these heavies, so I need to get over here now and help this guy out, because if this E100 dies, we lose the entire flank. But I'm going to push up, and I'm going to spot that FV2 and 5B. Not going to go after him, though. That's a very bad tank to fight with in a Mk6. But I'm going to slam a shell into that E100. You can see that amazing shell velocity, too, as it just hits exactly where you aim immediately. Do get hit in the side by a 121B. He destroyed my driving, so now I got no driving for the next 40 seconds, which was quite annoying. Did want to kill him, got hit again. Now my gunner's dead, I got no accuracy. Try to shoot him, he manages to get me in that cupola. You guys can see that cupola is able to be hit, and it is an easy target if you're sitting still. But I was quite annoyed, as you can tell. It's very annoying to just bounce shot after shot. Only done 1200 damage, already pretty much dead. But I think, okay, well, I'll keep fighting just because it's for you guys. So the C100 is going to be pushing up here. I'm going to load a PCR, the premium APCR, pen a shell right into him, and you can see when he cannot see my lower plate, bounces a heat right off me. I have now repaired my damaged modules, and the Object 140 is bouncing off my overpowered turret. I do want to be careful though. I know that 183 isn't probably going to be paying attention to me, so I just want to sneak a shell into him. So I'm going to pull out really quick, try and see if he's not aiming at me. You can see how I stopped. I'm very cautious. I do manage to snap the shell in though. I am now just looking at him where he's aiming. I realize that's probably not the smartest idea to pull back out again. That 121B is still a threat, but he is shooting at my teammate, so I'm not going to be minded by him as I try and cross. See that IS-7 though, and do want to get a nice shell right into him. You can see that amazing accuracy though, as I don't even need to aim in for that shell to pen. This 140 bounces me. I think he hit my upper plate. That was a mess up on his part. I am now going to load Hesh. As you can see, Hesh does great damage. I did 619 in total from the Ram and the Hesh round, and I'm going to finish him off. See the 121B, he's not much of a threat, so I'm going to push on this Gorilla, 183. I do know that the first shell I fire, he's probably going to have a shell by the time I get that second out, because I'm counting. It's been about 10 seconds now. I'm going to be able to fire one shell into him. Game did lag there, you can see, but it did go through. He's going to pull around the corner. I'm going to load Hesh and slam a Hesh right into the side of his tank, finishing that game with 1,400 damage blocked and 4,300 damage done. You can see I did earn 53,000 credits, and I did fire a bit of premium rounds. I did best on the team. I got 1,374 experience, but I still didn't manage to get the mastery, which was surprising to me. I did 14 shots fired, 13 hit, and 12 pen, so that's still like an 80% accuracy. That's pretty good. I received 11 hits, and half of them bounced, so that's also very good. This tank earned 117,000 credits. 10% of those were gone by vehicle repairs. And as you can see, ammunition was very expensive, at being 23,000 for that ammunition. Consumables and provisions I just run, those are optionary. 2,000 experience. It's just a very well-rounded tank for doing the job and doing it well. You can work these gun depression ridges so well, and people can't pen you, they'll just get frustrated. And not to mention, if it's against mediums, you can just test them. But let's get out to the second replay. The second replay is on Himmelsdorf, and this isn't a very, very good map for this tank, just because you really can't take advantage of your gun depression. You can use your turret armor on the little berms and rubble that sticks out, but it's much harder to do well on flat maps in the Chieftain because your armor's so weak that you can't really use it effectively when they can just pull out and shoot you in the tracks or in the lower plate. But this was one of the funniest replays I've ever had. This is like my last game I played last night. It was 4 in the morning. I was tired. I just wanted to go to sleep. I figured I'd play one more game, and I wanted to see how many Hesh rounds it would take to pen that E3 on the enemy team. So we'll see how that comes out later. I will show you guys there is a little weak spot on the E3 that not really many people know about, and I have gotten some lucky hits on those spots and done up to 1,000 damage right on the front of an E3. Starting off, you can see I'm going to load some Hesh and pen it right into the side of that 183. 521 right off the bat. And you can see that Hesh pen is just amazing. And now this E3, here comes the Heshing. Going to do 169. I'm pretty much just going to pound him with Hesh the entire time, as he's using his gun depression like a boss there. So he's not really that big of a threat to me. But I'm just going to, you can see where I'm trying to hit. There's these little It's almost as if Commander's Hatch sticking right in the front of that tank, and if you can hit that dead on with Hesh, it will pen and it will do max damage. But yeah, you can see that I'm going to be pushing up here. Do see that 183, but he actually does come back to haunt me a little bit. I should have loaded APCR there, but I didn't tap the button quick enough, so I realized I'll just use Hesh. I could have penned him with APCR there, I just didn't have the reload in time. You can see where I was trying to hit. There is a little weak spot right on the front, you can see it. But my shells are just deciding not to pen right now. But I have whipped already 800 off him, breaking 1200 damage. Not 12,000, that would be cool though. This E3 now is exactly 800 down. I'm going to do another. It's funny how almost all of them are doing exactly 169 damage. Focusing on that E75, loading back APCR. And that E3 must have been so sick and tired of me. He probably thinks I'm a terrible player, just spamming HE at him. But I know I'm not messing with that guy. And I've broken 2 of his loaders, so he has now a minute reload. But you can see I'm still spamming him with Hesh. And this next shot is the best one out of all. As you can see, I do hit him in the spot I've been trying to hit him, and it hits him for 560. And that's what I wanted to happen. A 183 has the full side of me and manages to screw up that shot. That is probably the worst shot I've ever seen. No clue how that happens, but I'm going to load an HE and just slap it right on his tracks. Now I've done 2800 damage, and all of that has been done by pretty much just spamming HE this game. I don't think I fired actually one APCR round at anybody. I'm going to slap a shell right into his lower plate, finish him off. Now we're at 3500 damage. That's actually pretty decent. Gonna slap a shell into that M60. Although I will say, this next shell I didn't really understand that well, as it bounces right on the hull. Thought that would go right through. I could have picked up an extra 200 damage there. And now we've got lunch, because there is a bat chat left. And the Mk6 is the best tank for mauling a bat chat to death. As you can see, first shell, 490. Heshed him right in the side. Then he got tracked so he can't even run. Second shell, 551. He probably knows he's dead now. We're at 4.9. Come on. 5.1. There you go. We slap one more shell into him. Finish off the game. 5.4k damage. 1200 blocked. I will say, though, I probably shouldn't have gotten as much health as I did. That 183 would normally have penned that shot. And if he'd been shooting Hesh, I would have died right there. You can see I earned 91,000 credits, 5,361 damage. I did not get the mastery, which did depress me a little, but I decided to put in this replay just because it was fun. So I do think the mastery is about 1,600 experience if you wanted to know how much you need. Did best on the team. I will say, though, that M6 on our team did help me out a bit. I fired 20 shots, 19 of them hit and 18 penned, and that's a 90% hit rate. So you can tell the tank's accuracy is great. Will say, though, I did shoot HE from about point-blank range for 90% of the shots. I received 5 hits and 3 of them bounced. So you can tell it's doing pretty good on armor. It has decent armor. The credits, 140,000 earned. Vehicle repairs, I barely lost any health, so only 5,000. Ammunition, you can see again was still very expensive at 19,000. And because of that, I earned 91,000 credits, which is very good. Overall, I think that the Chieftain Mk6 is one of the best tanks in the game. It has an amazing camouflage, as you can see, the Royal. I think it makes it look awesome, and Bushka thinks that too. This tank's shell velocity is so amazing. I have 802,000 free experience on this tank, and just to compare that, my i7 only has 63,000. I've owned it longer. This tank is just so fun to run because it's so agile and mobile, but yet it packs a punch, and it has great HE pen. If you know how to work HE, this tank will be your next favorite thing. Right now on the Blitz fair, it is about 22,000 gold. It'll probably go down to about 20,000 at the end. I would suggest to pick one of these up. It is probably one of, or not the best tank you can pick up in the Blitz fair this year. The E6 I actually do like better, but since the E6 is such a stretch and could cost you hundreds to even thousands of dollars to earn, I wouldn't actually try and get the E6 if I were you. I would get the Mk6. Looks better, and it has a nicer gun. But enough with that, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next videos.